And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let me just fix this up a little bit. There we go. So everyone can hear us fine. There's no issues. According to all my gear, everything should be working fine.
Sound loud and clear.
I haven't seen the screen come up yet, but I know there's a delay, so.
Yeah, 20 seconds. There we go.
Yep. I'm going to refresh again. There we go. Now I can look at my ugly mug.
Yep, so we've got a green light from John at Schuylkill River Valley, so yeah, we're good. Yay. So, good morning, everyone. Give me a second, I'm still trying to wake up, in a sense.
Yeah, you look like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah, I do. Welcome to another episode of Trackside Live with your favourite back and track team. Just having a look at the chat. Let's see, we've got Digger Evans, Joe Raider, Marty M, Schuylkill River Valley John, Dwight Curley, Chuck, CDP 1965, New Fender Australia William, hello. Roy Hardwick, Container Man, hello to you. Is there anyone I'm missing? I don't think there's. Oh, Dave P, he's in the house. I'm just looking through the chat and I just see like names repeating like 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm like, oh.
Well, I'm just going to say good morning to everybody because I can't type on this stupid tablet and I just end up messing it up. So good morning to everybody.
Yeah, so I can get rid of that. Anyway, so today's topic, you know, thanks to, so I've had, I had 5 people email me last week after I said for everyone to send emails. Here's the topics for everyone to see. So I've just pretty much gone through the emails in order, put them in an Excel sheet. So today's topic, thanks to Heath from Humanity Junction, is we're going to talk about water features and how to make them. So I'll give that a big green.
Sure you will.
Hang on. Done. It's green. Now, why do I hear crackling?
That's Steve running your train.
Oh, okay.
I'm not running.
I'm
not running anything.
It's the overhead catenary on the wires.
Oh, no, there's nothing running. Must be in your end, Shannon.
That's all right. Today we're going to be talking about water features and how to make them. Obviously, it's one thing a lot of people I've spoken to, I know, always dread doing water features of some sort. And then there's some people that they just get right into it and they're like, oh, it's not that hard. What are your opinions on that, Claude?
I was scared to death. I mean, I'd seen a lot of videos on how to do it and different techniques and stuff, but it was kind of like the painting, you know. I hadn't done it in that form. So getting started was the hardest part. And once I got started, then it was a little easier. I started out with buying water effects and deep pour water from Woodland Scenics. I still use the water effects for the long waterfalls. It works really good for that. But the deep pour water, when I was reading the label, it said don't use with PVA glue. And I don't know why you can't use it with PVA glue. I don't know if it keeps it from setting up properly or if it makes it crack or what it does, but it said don't use it. And of course, I didn't want it. I still pour it on the layout and then have something go wrong, because what do we all use for scenic glue? Most of us use PVA, watered down PVA glue. So, and that's exactly what I had done. So it kind of ruled that out. So then I started looking around for something else, and I found this stuff. I think I got this from the same place. Yep, Scenery Solutions, same place I get the fusion fiber from. It's called Magic Water. Now this is a two-part epoxy, but the really nice thing about this that I like, well, a couple of things that I really like about it. The first is once it cures, takes overnight to cure, but once it cures, it doesn't. You can get anything you want on it. It won't stick to it. It won't make an impression in it. So it's impervious basically after it dries, after it cures. The other thing I like about it is if you want to make just a wet look, say on rocks or something like that, you can do that. Just take a brush, mix a little bit of that, take a brush and just paint it on over the paint, and it just gives it that really wet look. It's real glossy, very glossy, and it gives a fantastic look of just wet. And so I did that behind my waterfalls, and you know, where the rocks would get wet underneath the falls, and I love the look of that. Then one of the other things I did, and I know I've talked about this a lot on my channel, is the dryer sheets. These are nice for, you tear them off like that, you get this real fine fiber. Try to get that in the camera. Real fine fiber look. And I thought, well, what if I puff that up instead of using cotton or something like that? Use that for my splash and mist effects. And I did at the bottom, and I liked it so well that I started going up the waterfall and doing some of that where it would hit rocks and splash off and that sort of thing. Worked really good. And even on some of the areas where it wasn't actively splashing, but just running over undulations in the river or the creek, I put this in there and put the magic water over the top of it, and it still gives me the same effect, but more of a submerged look, like it's down in the water instead of on top of the water. So that's what I've done, and I really, really like it. The water effects is very easy to use. If you've never used it, it's almost like a PVA glue. You just put it down on a piece of wax paper, something like that, however long you want it, and you can tease it around. It takes all night to dry, or 24 hours roughly to dry, and then once it does that, you just peel it up and put it on your layout wherever you need it. And it's real easy to adjust. So you can put it up and take it down, put it up, take it down if you need to. I went through 5 or 6 different versions of streaming water before I came across what I wanted to use that I liked. But this made it really easy. I've done a bunch of it, and I probably still have 2/3 of the bottle left. Bad thing about this is it's fairly expensive. This is $18 for this one bottle at the hobby shop here in town. The magic water I had to get online. This was $35, I think. And I still probably have over half of it. So if you had to pour really big area, you'd use it up a lot quicker, but no more than I'm using area-wise, it goes quite a ways before I, have to get any more. But anyway, that's what I've done, and I like the effect of it. It works really well.
Yeah. Well, mine's very little. The only thing I've got is my ocean, basically. I don't have any other water features on mine yet, but mine was just actually it's a the same fiberboard that I'm using for the turnout bases. It's an 1/8" pressed fiberboard or something. I've also got it on my fascia. I know I just painted it black with black chalk paint, and so it was flat, and then just 2 colors. Well, actually 3 if you count a kind of a seafoam green, but it's just blue and white acrylic paints that I and a fan brush to get the wave effects, and I just kind of played around with it, and it it turned out pretty good. And then I shellacked over the top of it, and 2 coats of shellac, and it's bulletproof. I use it as a work surface now. I mean, I haven't messed up the the paint on it. I thought I was going to mess it up, but that shellac is bulletproof. But I forget where I saw it on YouTube. Suggested doing that, but it's pretty simple, and if you don't like it, you can just paint over it and start over again. But that's what I did.
Okay.
But nothing fancy.
No, definitely. Well, it did come up really good, from what I remember seeing in your past videos. So now, in my instance, for what I did on my layout is I used clear casting resin. So for those who haven't used resin before, obviously it's a 2-part resin. So you got obviously the resin itself and the hardener. And yeah, basically all I did is I carved out my river, sealed it up, which I didn't seal it up properly, which that's a completely different story. We won't go into that. Take too long. But yeah, the basics is you make your riverbed, you put the sand, you paint it, whatever, to get the effects. And then when you pour once it's all sealed up, you start pouring the resin. And the good thing with the clear cast resin that I was using is you mix a little bit of enamel paint to tint it. And basically, like, if you look at my riverbed's only maybe 1.5 inches deep. But to give that effect of it being really deep, the first layer of resin I poured, I added like a very dark black mixed with browns to really darken the tint of the resin. Poured that in, let that set. Then I used the brown for the next layer, and as I just went from the bottom to the top, I just used lighter colors and lighter shades. So I went from black to brown to a light brown mixed with a little bit of green, and then I think I mixed a little bit of blue with the top layer. And then once that was all set, I used Mod Podge to create the effects of the ripple effect on top of the water, on top of the resin, to make it look like waves in water. Which worked really well. And then after that, with any parts that was like meant to be rough water or rushing rapids kind of thing, same thing. I just used the Mod Podge to really build up the waves, and then just with a paintbrush and just lightly painting over those ripples to bring them out and make them look white like foaming water. And that's how I did mine.
I think Wilmer was asking me if you can add some to the finished product of the magic water. When he said finished product, I don't know if you mean after it cures or before or when you're pouring it in. I did on one spot. I put a little tint in the water. There again, I used some acrylic model paints. I think they were acrylic. I don't know if they're acrylic or enamel. I've got both, and I'm not sure which one it was on the color that I used. But it worked fine, just to tint a little bit and give it a little murky look to it. Then on some of the waterfalls, instead of, a lot of times you go with the white over the top, like Shannon was talking about. I didn't paint over the top of them on the main waterfall. On the one on the back around by my trestle, I've got a little culvert coming out, and I did use white on that, and it worked really well. But on the front, I've got the dryer sheet underneath, and that gives me that white look. And so some of the long stretches of a waterfall behind the water effects, I took a little bit of blue-green paint, very lightly, went behind on the back side of that, and it shows through. Instead of putting it on the front of it, I just put it on the back side, reached around behind with the brush and just stroke the back of it a little bit, and it gives that little blue-green look coming down. So yeah, you can add stuff to it after the fact. The magic water, you can paint it or something. Oh, and on the surface for the ripples, I used the water effects over the top of the magic water and gave me the ripple effects. And you could come back in and put some white on that if you wanted, to get some highlights on the ripples. But you can, the magic water, once it's down and cured, it's pretty much bulletproof. This won't shrink or crack or anything like that too. So that's a nice part of it.
Now, I did see another comment or another question from Digger Evans. He was actually asking, what is the best product that we can recommend for water effects? Now, I think that's a bit of a hard question to really answer, isn't it? Because everyone's different. Everyone has a different budget, and, everything that... Some things work well for others, some things don't work at all. Like I know I tried, other ways of doing water effects that didn't work. And, when I started using resin, because I already had a little bit of experience with resin, I found that really easy to do. Mind you, I did make one mistake, which did cause me to do some repairs, but, it was something I was comfortable in using. And, I reckon it'd be the same with you, Claude. Like, you probably did all your research and whatnot, and, the water effects and the stuff that you've got, you're really comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I didn't do enough research on the deep pour water because I didn't know about not using it with PVA glue. So I still have a bottle of that I need to, I don't know, give away, I guess, at some point. But I'm sure it would work okay. But it also tells you on the deep pour water, don't leave anything sitting on there that you don't want to stay there after it's cured. If you put something on it, it's liable to get stuck to it and stay there. Which the magic water doesn't do that. You could, I don't know, you can set your chair on it, I guess, and it wouldn't, it wouldn't stick, and it wouldn't indent into it. So I really prefer the magic water over the deep pour water, even though I didn't use the deep pour water. Just reading the label on it kind of got me looking for something else, and that's when I found the magic water. And it's real easy to use, so that's what I use. And that's what I would recommend. It's not real expensive. They got several different sizes of it. So I say several. I think there's 3 different sizes of it you can get. So if you don't have a lot to do, they've got a small one. And I don't even know if this is the big one or not. I don't remember. I just know I didn't get the small size. But it goes quite a way. So, but it's similar to pouring a casting resin. It's 2-part. You pour it in layers if you want it really, really deep. And if it's not deep enough, you just mix up some more and add another layer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The only thing about this, and they tell you about it on the instructions, if you've got vegetation around where you're going to put the water, it has a tendency to get to that and soak up into it. So if you don't want that to look wet like that, then don't put and they tell you, don't put your vegetation and ground cover around the water before you pour this, if you don't want it to look wet. If you don't mind it looking wet, and it soaks up a little bit, but not a lot. But just the stuff underneath that you want showing through, that's what you should put in, and then pour your water, and then add your topside vegetation around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it really well. It works real nice.
What about you, Steve? Like, what made you decide to use paints instead of doing any other kind of stuff?
Well, I haven't had any place to put any other water. This one was just kind of the expansion to justify the barge that I did. So I didn't really have any place else to put any other water. But unfortunately, it's kind of made this whole space a little cramped. But my motivation was because I had the barge, so that's why I did the ocean scene.
But Bernard asking me once you pull on, he's talking about the water effects. If you use CA or some other adhesive to glue it in place, yeah, you can use. What I use is the water effects. Put a little bit of this on there. It's pretty thick, and you put a little bit of this on there, and then stick the end of your cured piece on that, and let that dry, and it'll be in place then. So that works real well. Or you could use something like Goop or E6000 would work good on it. I didn't try CA. I don't know that CA would work real well with that, but that's something you could try and see if it does work. But I just use more of I put a little dab of this, because when this dries, it's going to look the same as what you've got already. So that's what I use. But
I'm just trying to think.
Well, see, I'm learning from you guys because
keep going, Steve.
I'm learning from you guys because I'm just saying I'm learning from you guys. That's why I'm just kind of listening, because my water feature is not here, so I'm learning from you guys. So. Well,
that's the thing, Steve. Like, the water feature you have done where you just use paints, is a water feature,
Mm-hmm.
And that's where a lot of beginners start. Like I've seen, actually, even then, I've seen professional layouts where they'll have a bridge scene, with the harbour and whatnot, and they just have a flat piece of board that someone just spends hours and hours just painting, just making it look like, water, and then they put the Mod Podge over the top just to give that, that three-dimensional look on top, and then they don't even go, pouring resin and stuff like that.
Yeah, because if you've got a really large area, it would take a lot of resin or something like magic water, a lot of that product to get it to look like anything. So yeah.
Well, actually, I had forgotten that I did use Mod Podge on this. It was paint, then the Mod Podge, and then the shellac.
Mm-hmm.
So I had forgotten that, but
well, and this is
I didn't realize how.
Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, because I didn't realize how bulletproof shellac was. I mean, that if you want a tough water feature surface, it'll take the abuse. Because I like I said, I've ended up using this as a work surface. And,
well, I was going to say this is about the same consistency as Mod Podge. So you get that thick enough that you can put it down and then take a brush or toothpick or something and manipulate it like you want. Now, it won't stand up really high on its own, but it will you can do the ripple effects with it. You just have to keep in mind that it's going to dry clear. So if you want something to show, you're either going to have to put something under it like I did the dryer sheet, or come back and do some like white dry brushing over the top of it to give it the highlights of light glistening off of the waves or the ripples.
Because the Mod Podge actually gave it a kind of a depth, three-dimensional depth, but it didn't give the wave effects, which I'm glad, because I needed it smooth anyway.
Well, and the nice thing about coming back and painting over with the dry brush technique is if you make a mistake, you keep a wet rag there with you, you just wipe it off and do it again.
Yeah.
You haven't screwed it up. So if you've got the color in the stuff and it dries like you don't want it, then you're kind of set right there. The only way you're going to get it off is to scrape it off and start over. But if you dry brush over the top of it to get the highlights, it's going to be real easy to fix that if you don't like what you do. So
yeah, exactly.
That's what I have to keep in mind.
Just looking at the chat again. Yeah, sorry. Just looking at the chat. Steve Anderson, Steve 87, has just asked, what scale can you start using real water for a water feature?
Oh, I think you could do it. You could probably do it in any scale. The thing that I always find doesn't look right with real water is your waves. If you have any kind of wave action, they're way too fast for a small scale. That's why when you see movies of, or used to see movies of, say, military vessels in the ocean, they always look, you could always tell it was a model because they couldn't slow it down enough or get it to the right proportion for what model they had in the water. So the model looks like it's just doing this all the time. And you get that same look on a real water feature. I don't know that there's any advantage to going with real water unless you want it actually flowing through a water wheel or something like that. But to get it to go at the right speed, not look toy-like, would be tough, I would think. I'm sure it's done, but I've never seen one done with real water that didn't look like it was a toy.
Well, even in G scale, it doesn't look right.
It's just it just moves at the wrong ratio for the size that you're doing. When you come down that small, it just doesn't look right. At least not to me.
Oh no, I'm with you there. Like, like it'd be nice if there was something like, like a watered down consistency of honey that, when you do drop a pebble in it or something, it just has that effect to keep the waves going, Yeah.
So that it's it looks like a deeper body of water.
Exactly.
If you drop it in a pan this deep, it's going to ripple so fast that it's not going to look right.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, we're bound by the laws of physics, so.
Yeah, it's hard to get away from that.
Yeah. Now, what were you saying, Steve? Sorry, before I interrupted.
Oh, I don't remember. If I remembered, it was important.
Well,
Mike wants fish.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, he does say Mike wants fish.
Yeah, he wants fish on his layout, so I guess you'd have to have real water.
Yeah, the other thing with real water is you running into a lot of other problems that you've got to do. It's got to be waterproof. Everything around it has to be waterproof or not in the water. And then you've got electronics all around, electric all around. So you got to be fairly careful or you're going to have shorts and all that kind of stuff and leaks.
Yeah.
Trying to make the basin completely waterproof so you never have a leak in it. To me, it's just an added headache. It's hard enough when you're pouring the resin to get it to be to hold the resin, but the resin once it sets up is not going anywhere.
I'm also thinking
you'd have to treat the water too.
Yeah, treat the water. I'm also thinking of evaporation because I know when I leave, a cup of water that I use to clean my paintbrushes, I run the heater for a week, and then next thing I know, the whole cup's empty. And it's like, where's the water gone? Having that on the layout, the water evaporating, it's gonna go somewhere, and what's gonna do is gonna go on your scenery, it's gonna go on your track, it's gonna go all over your locos, and it won't affect it immediately, but over time, as it happens more and more and more, you're gonna get corrosion, you're gonna get mold, and all these other things, unless you have the proper steps put in place.
Yeah, that just takes a lot more behind the scenes stuff to make real water work.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it looks like, just to hold the water, it's going to take a lot more.
No, I think for G scale would be perfect. Then that's what it is, a garden railway. So
Oh yeah, sure. If you're outside, that's where it would make sense. But even
I
there,
think that'd
you've got to do, say, a pond or a lake, whatever you're going to do, or even a stream.
Right.
You got to put a liner in it, or your water's going to go into the ground. Depending on the soil that you're in. And if you're in most people don't have garden railroads in climates if you have bad weather all the time. I know they have them here, and we get the full 4 seasons here, but most of the really nice garden railroads I've seen are all out in the desert because they never get any rain. And they're in sand, so they're having to line, if they're using water, they're having to line the stream and the pond and everything else with liner, just like you do a koi pond, say.
Yeah, not to mention like G scale is, hence why it's G scale. The G stands for garden. All that, a lot of that stuff is designed in mind for it to be out in the weather. So the motors and electronics are pretty much, in some sense, waterproofed. Suitable for outdoor use. That's what a lot of a lot of that stuff is designed for. Like if you look on the cheaper end of the scale, then yeah, it's going to be like your standard everyday electronics. But the say average to really good stuff that you can buy, that's what it's designed for. Just trying to see. So I did see Container Man say something about a museum of science and technology or something like that. They have a HO layout which uses real water for the ships that move through the water and the docks. I think he said somewhere that the ships are on remote control. Digger Evans says Miniature Wonderland in Hamburg uses real water, which I've seen. I've seen that, but I've seen them use it only on like where the B&O cruise ships kind of thing, just do loops backwards and forwards. Let's see. John2618, hello, he's just joined in. Where are we? Miami. Looks like everyone's is talking to Marty M, convincing him to do a G layout with water and fish. And I think I'm caught up on the chat. Well, hang on, Bernard says just chimed in. I think I'd stay away from real water. Maybe if you were doing a Stewart Alaska trains and barges. Someone might have to explain that to me, what they're going on about.
Oh, that's Stewart Alaska. That's where the White Pass, Yukon and White Pass and Yukon, I think is the name of it, railroad that they used during the gold rush. It's a narrow gauge line. If you go in there on a cruise ship, you can ride that up to the Canadian border and back. And they've got docks there. And the train comes right down to the dock and picks all the passengers up from the cruise ships and take you up the top of the mountain. It's pretty good climb they go on. That's what he's talking about there. And Chuck's talking about have seen some trains in the snow. Yeah, those are G-scale trains, Chuck. And how they keep from shorting
those are fun to watch.
I don't know because I don't have G-scale, and I always assumed it was wired similar to what we do, but they could have been, they have some of them that are battery controlled too. So I don't know.
I was thinking of something. I can't remember what now.
But I will say something else about the snow. And if you do watch one that's got a snow plow on it and it's pushing snow, the one I saw, the snow was a little bit wet, and so it just piled up on the front of the engine instead of sliding to the side like it would off a full size train. So you get the same kind of physics effect with snow that you get with water. It doesn't look real. The snow would have to be so dry that you could blow it, just with your breath and get it to move, to get it to run off the front of a snowplow on a model train and look real. Because otherwise,
well, even an 1.5-inch scale, it doesn't look real.
No,
they do it up at Train Mountain.
Yeah, it would have to be really, really cold, dry snow for it to look right. So I've seen them. I saw two actually. I saw one where they're using plow, and one that the guy had actually built a rotary snowplow.
I saw that one. That was pretty cool, actually.
And it worked, but it didn't look real. It was kind of neat that he did it, but it just didn't look real. You'd have, like I say, you'd have to have the snow so dry to get it to flow properly to make it look like it was real.
Yeah, Roy says it's a dead rail, battery operated. I guess that would probably make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know all the ins and outs of G-Scale, but I know they have the battery operated and the radio controlled, where they have no rail, no power to the rails at all.
Yeah. I was gonna say, what's it called? That's what I was trying to say before. Waterfalls. That's one thing we haven't touched on yet exactly. Like I know you've got a couple of waterfalls, Claude. I don't have any. Well, I've got one, but I haven't actually gone through the trouble of actually making them yet. What techniques do you know to actually do waterfalls and stuff to actually get the effect of water falling?
Well, I use the water effects. That's what I used this for, was strictly for the waterfall. Well, not strictly for that, but that was the main thing I got it for, was to make my waterfalls. There again, it works good for that. That's what it's made for, and that's where it works good. You can use water effects for other stuff, but that's what I used it for. Now I've seen people use other things besides something like that, and I can't off the top of my head remember exactly what they were, but I've seen some really neat waterfalls done with just stuff that wasn't made by Woodland Scenics or somebody else for doing that. It was regular product for something else that they used. And like I say, I wish I could remember what the guy used on the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of videos where people say when you want to make waterfalls, you use the water effects, and you basically lay it flat on like a piece of glass or a piece of like a baking tray, something that you can peel something you can peel the water off, and then from there you just kind of blend it into the scenery and kind of make it look like it is actually falling water.
Well, in fact, Shannon, I can take the camera upstairs and I can show how I did it.
Yeah, give us a tour.
Give you a tour.
Give us a tour.
Okay. Now here's the, up above where it's coming down, and this light's not very good. That's a little better. Okay, you can see how it just got the wet look. And then here's a little bit of the, up here's a little bit of the dryer sheet that I put there. And some more down here. Some of this I may go back over with some more of the wet water or the magic water. But you can see this wet look I get, that's from the magic water. That's just painted onto the plaster there, the paint. But right here's where I attached the magic water, and I just glued it on with a little bit of magic water. Now on this particular piece here, I wanted it to come out away from the, so you can see this, away from the rock a little bit, like it's got some force. So I just took a little piece of acetate, short piece of acetate, curved it, and put the magic water, or put the water effects on that, and glued it all up there so it holds that out and gives it that curved look, like it's falling. See, and then I've got the dryer sheets down here. And I don't know if you can see the color. Can you see the color on that?
Kind of has like a blue hue to it from what I can see.
Yeah, a little blue-green tint to it. That's where I painted behind it. And then, of course, came down here, did kind of the same thing down here on this one. And this is, you can see the ripples in that or not. I haven't dry brushed this yet. I need to do that, but it's got loose scenery all over it from up above. But this is the magic water that I tinted. And you can see that look. And so you can see about how thick it is that I poured there. And then on the backside, I did a little bit different. Get some lights turned on here. This is clear. I didn't tint this. So everything you see there is what was down in the bottom of the creek before I put the water in there. And it's about the same depth. Now, see all the white that you see in this, the ripples and stuff is all white paint. Dry brushing, but I did the basic same thing with the acetate here, pouring out of the pipe there.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's a couple of ways you can do it, and it worked really well for me. Took a little trial and error, but it worked really nice.
Yeah, well, it does look. Yeah, it paid off in the end. Looks really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it came out like I wanted it to, so I'm happy with it. Anyway, that was just a quick show you how I did it kind of thing, or what it looks like after the fact.
Let's see, back on to the chat. Containment Roy, clear silicon quarter. Yeah, let me start it again. Clear silicon, 1/4 or 1/8 stream on wax paper. Let it dry, peel away. Place at top of water pool, let hang loose at top, dry brush white paint on top, cotton balls at bottom, spread apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another way to do it.
Yeah, sure. That's what I had seen done, and that's what I was trying to kind of replicate. I just went about it a little bit differently, but there's, more than one way you can do a lot of this stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Containment Roy said, if anyone wants, more details, on how to, do some water effects, go to Kathy Millett. She supposedly has a video on how to do it. But I'm pretty sure there's a few people like you got Luke Towan here in Australia. He does some wonderful water effects. Which is, I can't think of anyone else right now. I know there's a video out there of a guy. He specialized with casting resin floors. And he's got a video where he went to, basically it's like a small museum where someone's built a 2-scale double O layout of this section of the Britain Railway, and they poured I think it was like a gallon of resin, and that's why he was there, and that's why he uploaded that video. He showed off the whole layout, and he ended up pouring like a 1 thick layer of resin, and then they did all the details on top, with the trying to get the waves in that and all that stuff. Also showed, how him doing some static grass as well. Actually, just had a question come through. Steve Anderson or Steve 87th PSAP. Best way to seal before pouring the water. I guess the best way for that is basically just paint, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you can do it with paint. The magic water, they say if seal it, they tell you to seal it also, because it'll do the same thing. It'll run it. It's just like water when you pour it in there. So you got to seal everything off and dam it all off. But they say if you're not sure if you've got it sealed, what you can do is make up a small amount of it, go in with a paintbrush and paint the wet water or the magic water everywhere you're going to have the resin, and let it dry, and that seals then your basin without running through, because you're using a small amount, but it will still get into the cracks and crevices and seal that up. And that's what I did, and it worked really well.
Yeah, that's one thing
Roy
I should have.
Says shellac. How about? Yeah, Roy says shellac to seal it.
Yeah.
What about that?
Yeah, you can use shellac to seal it. Anything that'll seal up, you can use.
Yeah. Yeah, like I know after I had my accident with pouring my resin, it was like 6 months later, someone suggested to me, why didn't you just make a small batch of resin and paint it in the riverbed before pouring it, So that way, you're going resin and you wouldn't have as much damage. And I kind of looked at the guy sideways and, just wanted to go, don't be a smartass. Now I'm just looking. Okay, so we're 45 minutes into the stream. Is there any more questions anyone has or anything like that? I know there's a 20-second delay, so I'll let that hang around. Whilst we're waiting for more questions, yeah, just the usual things, like one thing I did forget to say is Ali does say hello to everyone. She is feeling a little bit better for wear, so to speak, I guess. She did do her back in and she's a bit sore, so she's on the mend. What else? In saying that about Ali, the reason I mention Ali is because, she's usually here saying, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, don't forget to press the button, and all that other stuff. I can't even think of the words right now. What else? Make sure. Looking what. Actually, something just popped up with Nightbot. Last week I got 5 people emailing me some topics, which is great. Whoever hasn't emailed any topics yet, send us an email. Our email's in the description below. Send us 3 topics you want us to talk about, okay? Guys, we're going to put them on a list. We're going to knock them off one by one. And we're just going to keep nagging you guys. We're going to keep nagging you, get topics, and, keep the show going. In saying that, with that same email, you can also let us know to bug Steve. The reason you want us... Yeah, about the keychains. What else? I'm
gonna have to start selling them on eBay.
Yeah. There's our Teesprings. So you can buy shirts like what Claude over there's wearing and Steve's wearing. And Steve, you wearing a hat from us, or is that one of your...
I've still got a... No, that's a train hat. No, I've still got to order my hat.
Yeah, because it looks like the round logo. I'm thinking, is that our logo?
It looks like it, but it's not.
Yeah. What else? Traveling boxcar. Now, traveling boxcar. At the moment, the HO boxcar is still with Fred. Is still with Fred Wild. I do know he was crook with the showstopper, so we're currently, trying to figure out the logistics around that, because obviously he couldn't leave the house and whatnot. But I think he's all been cleared now, whatnot. There's no risk of that. So he's going to get the box packaged up and, I guess, disinfected, in a sense. Before we get sent off. The other boxcar is currently with Ron Marsh. Now, Ron Marsh is a very busy man. Like, I've had trouble trying to get in contact with him for the last couple of weeks. I did get a hold of him. He did say, he did receive it and he was going to do a video and whatnot soon. But obviously with his busy time schedule and with everything that's happening, this is a little tied up. So, I will try to get in contact with him again and go from there. Is there anything else I'm missing? Tomorrow night...
Well, Al Mar said we I was going to say, Al Mar said we actually stayed on track today. Thanks, Al.
For once.
Really?
Now, what was I saying? I was saying something. Oh, that's right. Tomorrow night, everyone make sure you go to the Train Freaks channel for Sidetrack Sundays. As you see in the Claude side on his corner, there is a timer. we're basically bugging, we're basically bugging Heath about him having to open a package on Jason's stream tomorrow night. So make sure you check that out, because for the most part, if everyone isn't aware, and this is what Heath keeps saying. Now I gotta find a small box. Heath keeps going. He goes, I'm meant to be getting a little box like this, but I end up with a box like this. How does something that small fit in a box that big?
Pretty easily, it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. But every time Heath went on stream, he's like, yeah, so I know I'm meant to be getting a little thing. It fits in a box about this big, but instead I've got this big box, and I'm told I'm not allowed to open it until the timer runs out. So everyone make sure. So everyone in chat, if you get a chance, go over to Humanity Junction's video, and in his most recent video, just comment nothing else but check the timer, check the countdown, just anything that refers to him to check that timer. Don't say anything else. Just say, Heath, check that timer, check the countdown. Just bug him. Just poke his buttons about that box. And I can't think of anything else. I think that's it.
Well, thanks for showing up, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've actually got like 8 minutes to kill.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Well, how about everybody promote their channels?
Yeah, promote your channels.
Subscribers and promote your channels.
Yeah, promote your channels and whatnot.
I haven't done that in a while.
Just trying to think if actually, also, if any of you guys are running like any what's it called, giveaways or anything like that, let us know in the chat. And if I see them, I'll shout them out. Heavy J, does the box make a ticking sound? I don't know, Heavy J. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Ask him. Just comment on his last video. Is the box ticking?
It's when it stops ticking. That's when you got to order.
Yeah. Steve Anderson saying, since Heath has been on, are you getting more bar commercials? Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah, what's a bar commercial? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Actually, whilst we wait, I'll just go to the Excel sheet, wherever I put it. So next week's topic, we are talking about couplers.
Couplers.
Well, cause it's from Heath. Heath is more relating it to N scale, but I know it'll be relating to HO scale, O scale, O scale.
Is that online dating, kind of like eHarmony and stuff?
Oh, with Heath, this could be anything really.
I got the look from him. That's the same look my wife gave me.
Yeah, but nah, he's got on here basically, like different types of couplers. You got horn hook couplers, knuckle couplers. You got the loop and latch kind of couplers. Kato have got their own couplers. Different brands have their own couplers. So we'll talk about that next week. How to mount couplers the best way onto different pieces of rolling stock, depending what it is. And there is a question associated with that topic, but we'll ask that question next week. Got 5 minutes left, so as I said, guys, promote your channels, promote everything, bug Heath. Actually, if everyone can actually comment on Heath's on Humanity Junction's videos, I will make sure to personally you know, get a screenshot or, you know, talk with Jason, you know, the train freak. We'll get a few screenshots and whatever, and we will purposely show it on stream, and we will rub it into Heath for maybe a week or two, just for that cherry on top. Poor Heath, we're giving him so much crap right now, and he's not even here to defend himself.
Yeah, that'll teach him not to be here.
Oh yeah. Actually, it was hard. How's this? Yesterday, he's like, "Oh, I need a hand doing some installs, you know, some hard wire installs and some decoders." I'm like, "Okay, I've got a decoder that I've got to do pretty much a similar job to, so I'll do it with you." He then ends up starting his little live stream, like, "Hey, get together," kind of thing, and then an hour goes by as he sets up his layout, and here I am, like, "So we're ready to do this hard." I just thought it was like, "No, I just wanted to hang, you know, I'm not doing any install." Like, "So I got all this out for nothing?" And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, great. Now, let's go through chat quickly. Chuck has 233 subs. Nothing much new. Container Man says 1434. I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that's how many subs he has. Steve Anderson, Steve 87th, is up to 221 subscribers. He said he'll actually put a video out this week, so make sure you keep an eye out for that. Wilma, I didn't realise you jumped in here, Wilma. When did you come in here?
He's been here the whole time.
It's been in a while.
Jesus,
yeah, where you been?
I've been under a rock. Joe Raider, he's up to 113 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed to him, make sure you do. 20 people viewing, 14 likes. Not bad. Alright, I guess I'll cut the stream, a few minutes short. But otherwise, thanks again for joining us, guys. Thanks again for another Saturday morning with the Back on Track team.
Yep.
Again, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Send us emails on topics. I will be checking emails. I know who has sent emails. Those emails, the emails you send us helps us to entertain you guys, especially when we start to get into fights. That gets very entertaining, especially when Claude and Steve just kind of sit there and me and Ally just go at it.
Oh yeah. That's the fun part.
Joel, I feel bad you guys who have wives who don't let them have layouts all over the house. My place, trains and hobbies all over the house. Okay.
Steve,
that's another subject.
That would have been right in there.
Okay, so have a great weekend. And actually, in saying that, I will be doing an update on what might be happening in the upcoming weeks, because my timetable is changing again because of showstopper. But we'll sort that out. Maybe we'll talk about it on the Trackside Beans. Alright, we'll get that organised.
Good.
But otherwise, thanks again. Peace, everyone. Take care.
Appreciate you guys.
Send your love to everyone.
Stay safe.
And yes, stay safe. Now I just have to find the button to stop the stream. Which is that button.